All right, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to brainstorm. I mean, we're making personal trophies about things that interest us, that we're good at, that for your own self. So I'm going to do that for myself. So I really like making art, teaching, and camping. So those are three of my interests. Now, under those categories, I'm going to list activities or things and objects that are associated with that. So, for example, with making art, like I love the supplies. I love having those supplies. Specifically, I like the painting supplies, the paint, the canvas, the clay. After you make your list with all of those things, you're going to kind of circle the things that you could make objects of. So it's really easy to make an object of a noun, but not so much of a verb. So, for example, it's very easy to make an object of a laptop, but it's not so easy to make an object of thinking. I'm going to go with teaching. I think I'm going to do a teaching one, mostly so that, none of my students copy that because none of them are teachers. Okay, so then you're going to draw out or think of 2 to 4 objects associated with your activity that you're going to be making your trophy for. So I'm making a teacher trophy. And I think that a pencil and a laptop with PowerPoint on it, and then just, maybe 2 writing utensils like pencil and dry erase. What's a teacher without a dry erase marker, right? And then the classic symbol of an apple. And then in the space provided, I'm going to start sketching out that object, and how I'm going to have that object displayed. Am I going to have it face balanced? Am I going to have it flat? How am I going to kind of manipulate that object so that it balances in my trophy? Am I going to have the laptop open, closed, on its side, like a tent? How do I want to have that displayed? And just sort of sketch out those ideas. And then once you have those individual objects sketched out, start putting them together in one larger image and in a larger balanced composition. And when you're thinking about this composition, be thinking about how these objects are going to connect to each other, how they're going to get glued together, how they're going to balance so that it doesn't fall over. So not just visually balanced, but physically balanced. And be thinking about how they are all different shapes that can then be turned into forms that can then be turned into recognizable objects, right? So, I'm just drawing first, like with my pencil, I just sort of draw a rectangle and then I add, a cone on top of that, and then, just a cylinder on the back, and there's a pencil, right? So that's how we can go from shapes to forms. Your drawing doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to give you a good idea of the way it's going to look. And it does have to have, 2 to 4 objects that really represent the activity that you want to give a trophy about. You should probably make at least 2 sketches, ideas, because oftentimes your first idea is not your best idea, right? So I was going to do kind of a trophy that had like a low profile, but I decided really didn't want the apple to be so big, so I wanted it to sit on the laptop. And if I wanted it to sit on the laptop, what would that look like? I still like the idea of the dry erase marker and the pencil in the back, but again, just playing with these objects, playing with these concepts on how this is going to look. And then once you have your sketch idea drawn out so that you can communicate it with your teacher, and you can kind of understand what direction it's going, then you can start to create those different elemental features in the cardboard.